Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today I wanted to talk about fuel filters, maintenance, ways to prevent fuel filter failure, and then some tricks on how to service them when you change them. So the model I'm going to be showing you today is my Ventrac 4500Y. This is the Kubota diesel model. I'm going to talk a little bit about the gas models as well and talk about preventative measures you can take. So the Ventrac has two fuel filters. It's got a primary filter, which is located underneath this cover. And then it's got a secondary filter, which is your ray core. This is a fuel filter, and then it's a water separator with a fuel sight glass there. Now, if I was changing these, when I changed the primary one, I'd go ahead and change the secondary one as well. Generally, the primary one's gonna clog first, and that's because the first one the fuel goes through, so it's taking the most dirt out of it before it gets to the secondary one. The primary one just filters all the contaminants before they go through your fuel pump. Now, I have done a video on this before. One good preventative measure for saving fuel filters is one of these Mr. Funnels by Flow Tool. I did some tests on this, and you'd be surprised at how much dirt and contaminants, especially in diesel fuel, you find in this, and it does a really good job of taking out water that's in fuel. So this is probably the best tool that you could have to prevent water or just contaminants to make your fuel filters last longer. Fuel filters are one thing I highly suggest having a set on hand. Here's the primary filter, and there's your secondary filter there. So I always have I got two sets of these, but it's always good to have an extra set because generally it's going to be Sunday or a holiday when one of these fails and you're going to need one, and the last thing you want to do is be stuck not being able to get something done because you have a fuel filter failure. Now, generally on my older machine, my 430, when I had it, a fuel filter was something that I never really had an issue with. I changed them periodically, but on a gas model, water is going to be probably the number one thing that's going to get you before contaminants will. Not always the case, but that's what I found. Now, on a diesel model like this, generally, if you're mowing or doing something and you start to climb a hill and you lose power and the tractor stalls, you can start it, you can continue to work. You start working a little harder and it stalls. That's first signs of generally your fuel filter's clogged or it needs replaced. So, especially the diesel guys, highly suggest having a set of these on hand because you're definitely gonna need it sooner or later down the road. And I change mine periodically, but still, it's something if it fails, you'd like to have. All right, so other preventative measures you can do, the gas models, especially in the wintertime, I run a little bit of heat, read the directions of how much you need. You don't need much in a lawnmower. I also try to run stable, and Seafoam's another great product I use. The container of stable I have, sorry guys, the label had come off of it, but non-ethanol gas is another important thing going into winter. I would try to use that in my gas mower all the time, but especially going into winter, if you're going to be sitting between snow plows, that ethanol and that gas, even though it's only 10%, it draws moisture and you will end up with water in the tank. So using a water preventer and a fuel stabilizer and trying to use boat gas or ethanol-free gasoline, that definitely also helps, along with the Flow Tool Mr. Funnel. Them are just three products that I've used through the years that I've had good luck with. Now, for the diesel performance, every now and then, even in my truck and my other tractors I have, Clear Diesel by Power Service, I've had pretty good luck with their products. There's other diesel fuel products out there, but I've had good luck with them. In the summertime, a lot of times I'll run the Diesel Clean, the injector cleaner, performance improver. And in the wintertime, no matter what diesel I'm running, I always run the winterizing and anti-gel, and I've been using that for years in my truck and other equipment, and I've never once had a fuel gel problem. And if you've ever had a fuel gel problem with the diesel, I've had friends that have had it. It's not pretty, and it's definitely a pain, especially when it's extremely cold out, to try to heat that up and get that fuel system going again. So being preventative is also always a good idea instead of waiting till the last minute then having to deal with it afterwards. let me take this cover off and I'll show you this filter and some of the tricks I found to changing it. All right, to get to the primary filter, you have to remove 3 bolts, which I've already loosened these. You take them out, the center cover here pops right out. Really easy to get to. And then down in here is your primary filter. Now, I've already changed both of mine. I had a little bit of contaminated diesel fuel. I had some dirt and stuff in it, so rust particles. So I've already done these once, so I'm going to show you a little bit of a trick. Small butter dish like this, if you can cram it down underneath there, and I also put a lot of rags down underneath here as well to try to soak up as much of that fuel that you're going to spill. Close the fuel line. What I found is I pull this clamp off, I remove the filter, try to let most of that fuel drain into that cup, and then I'll remove this one and take the filter off. Now, putting the new filter on, I do it sort of in the same step and procedure. I'll put this end of the hose on the filter first, and then I lift this filter up in the air as I turn the fuel on, and I try to let all the fuel go up into that until it just starts to seep out of that filter. That way it's full. And then I close the line, and by holding my thumb over the other end, I quickly put it down to this line and try to slip that line on as quick as I can. So once you do that, you lose as minimal fuel as you can, and that just makes it easier while priming this system. So you're gonna have a little air in there. When you get done changing the primary one, you just go ahead and turn the key on, and you can hear your fuel pump working, and you just leave that on for a minute or so, and then just start the tractor and listen to it, and it should clear most of the air out of the system, and you should be all right. If not, you can just turn it on and keep priming it. All right, now for your secondary filter, the Ray core. Here's your water separator. Say you want to just drain your fuel out of here. You see some water in there, or you just wanted to drain it to be sure. There's a valve you can open right here with a drain spout. What I found the easiest way for this is get you some 3/8 inch hose. This is just some agriculture sprayer hose here. Let me throw it down there, a couple foot long. You can get it longer if you want. Nothing special. This was like 60 cents a foot or something really cheap. I keep this just for the fuel filters, so you don't have to go spend, a lot of money on fuel line or anything like that. You can get this at Tractor Supply, Roll King. Right underneath here, you can take this hose and slide it up, and you can line it right up. If I can get it on there, real easy with one hand. It'll go right on that nipple. So once you get that hose hooked up on there, then I have a little container, these little 16-ounce sour cream containers, something like this. I'd suggest at least a 16-ounce. You can take your hose, put it in there and hold it, and then when you open up this valve, all this fuel is going to drain into your container. If you wanted to use a little longer hose to make it easier so you don't have to hold it, take a little oil pan like this, and you get about 1 more foot longer hose. You can just drain it right into a pan. But I found these little 16-ounce containers work perfect. Now, if you're changing this filter, not just draining it, I suggest leaving this open with the hose, cracking this filter just a little bit, because when air gets in there, you're going to have some more fuel come out of here. So the first time I did that, I closed that back up and fuel came out of here. I also suggest shoving rags down underneath here. That way, if you do get any diesel fuel that spills out of there, it doesn't get on your engine, because diesel fuel being an oil will attract dirt and stuff, and I try just to keep the engine as clean as I possibly can. Now, say you were replacing this, pull my hose off of there. What I do is I put the sight glass on the bottom. It comes with new O-rings and gaskets. I put this on the new filter first, and then I try to fill up the fuel filter, not completely, but close to as full as I can, and then put it on here without spilling it. And then that way, when I go to prime the system, it's just less priming. And the same way you would do the first one, you just turn the key on, and you can listen to that. Just let it run a couple minutes. Keep feeding fuel in there, start the tractor and run it. It should bleed all the air out of the system pretty easily. And if it does get some air in there, just turn the key on and keep priming it. Hope this video was helpful, guys. This is a video I wanted to do for a little while. I know fuel filters are something that a lot of people don't think of as preventative maintenance. It's one of them things they replace when they get clogged, but a clogged fuel filter can decrease power and not give you the performance you need. And like I said, it's always a good sign to either replace them beforehand or have a set on hand, so if you do need to replace one, you have them. I know you can get fuel filters a lot of places, but like I said, usually with me, anytime something goes wrong, it's a Sunday or a holiday, and the last thing I want to do is be stuck not being able to do something when I got the time to do it. So hope this video is helpful. If there's any other maintenance videos you guys would like to see, please comment below. And as always, thanks for watching.